I cannot believe this day is finally here. You join me in Maranello, Italy, the hometown of Ferrari, in front of the famous gates of Pista di Fiorano, because it's time to reveal something I've been keeping the tiniest of little secrets. Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel. You join me 3,000 kilometers in on the tour with my new Purosangue, but we're here in Italy for a reason. We have ventured all the way here to announce something. A future Shmeemobile, a dream come true, and today we're going to be heading behind the gates into Ferrari HQ to show you all. If we rewind about 3 years ago, I came here to drive an SF90 Stradale for the first time, and I actually began that right here in front of Fiorano. Now, little did I know at the time how much that day would go on to shape the future of my garage. As you know, owning a few Ferraris with a few more on order and a lot of excitement for the future. But it began with my first, an FF, which back then I actually got to bring here as well and parked in front of Enzo Ferrari's house in the very center of Fiorano. That first car was in blue Le Mans, the same color as the Purosangue now, although the car we've come to talk about today is very different to this in just about every way. Different powertrain, different ideology, different configuration, different number of seats, different drive, different everything. I'll let you in on a little secret then. It's a limited series Ferrari model. Now, when I came here for the SF90 to drive it away for the first time, I actually started right here, drove it up this road, so being back here always feels very special. At the moment, the SF90 Stradale is in my garage, along with the 296 GTS. Admittedly, after collecting it, I've not had time to do much with that car yet. The weather hasn't been on side, I've been away a lot, but there are going to be plenty of tours next spring and summer, and of course, the Purosangue, the car that has instantly become my go-to car to drive. V12 engine, practical, usable, brand new, very exciting, albeit very, very different. I've announced a Roma Spider is going to be on the way also to join the Shmeemobiles in the future, and that's not all. There will be more down the line. It's a very exciting time with the Ferrari portfolio, but the car today is probably the pinnacle of it all. Potentially, I've already given away a few too many clues, but we're going to drive round to the original old Ferrari entrance to park up this car, go inside and head to Tailor Made. That's where I can pull back the covers and start to think about some specification options. I want to share a few with you to go through later on, so don't go anywhere, but it is beyond a dream to be able to build my own spec for a limited special series Ferrari is not something I thought might ever happen. Being part of this brand, like I said, from driving the SF90 here back when I did to where we are now, it is crazy. So let's get the Puro started, let's head on around here in Maranello and let's go do this. It's not exactly the longest drive from Fiorano around towards the front, but everywhere you go here literally bleeds Ferrari, the passion for the brand as you head around. And we've got the Museo Ferrari Maranello here on the right hand side. It's special, it's a special place. It's hard to really put it all into words and fully explain it, but as a customer coming here, and I must have been here 40 or 50 times over the years, every single time is still getting the heart pounding. It's still something that stands out, and it's still for something really exciting. Everywhere you go, everything's red, Ferraris on every street corner. But as we head around, as we get towards the original entrance, which still stands, that's where we're going to be able to park this today. So let's do it. Let's head in and let's go prepare for what's ahead. On the left side here, this is now the newer entrance to Fiorano when you arrive, with the wonderful new building. And then up this way in front of us is basically the way around towards the old factory gate, which is just over to the left-hand side. It's just really busy around here today. This is quite exciting then. Here we are. This is the historic entrance to the Ferrari Factory, where we have been invited to bring this car today to come and park it inside. And this is where, when we go through, the cameras will have to switch off, but we should be on the list and we should be able to park up. So let me say hello and arrange this. Watching out for all the people walking around, but I'm invited to park this car here. So let's shuffle it back to the same spot, in fact, that the Lusso has been parked in the past. How cool is this? Helpful to have all of the cameras in here. So let us head inside and go and reveal everything that's happening today. Welcome inside, where you join me at Centro Stile. This is where you have the Atelier, tailor-made, and home to the designers who are responsible for new Ferraris. And of course, excitement levels are currently in overdrive as you are about to see what lies right here. And perhaps as we come past, this might be a little bit of a clue. Clearly, mid-engine supercar beneath one very bright red cover, something that, to be honest, is truly monumental. Something that I've actually teased a little bit because I came out here to Maranello back in June, a couple of weeks before this was actually public, and came to the event for customers to see it for the first time. Of course, completely secretive at the time. There was actually a gift, a red and black box, which has sat in a display cabinet behind my desk for the last 5 or 6 months as a bit of a teaser, an Easter egg for those that might know. It was in fact posted online by Ferrari at one point. Inside, though, is contained a speed form, the idea of aerodynamics, of what this is all about, and I suppose the biggest talking point, what's at the back of it? What's at the back of the car that lies beneath this? And I suppose that's also a bit of a clue, a bit of a giveaway at the front. Now, I did actually come on that day when they were celebrating the victory of the 499P at Le Mans. It was truly special, but I think we should have a quick teaser of what's underneath here, because the specification of this particular example is very on theme to what we might be discussing a little bit later. So if you haven't already worked it out, maybe this is another clue. And look at that. Blue Electrico, the colour of my SF90 Stradale that I've enjoyed so much over the last 2 years. I think it's time to pull this back and reveal the future Shmeemobile. Let's do this then and pull back this cover to reveal what lies underneath. I am incredibly honoured and over the moon to have secured an allocation for my first limited special series Ferrari. Yes, you've guessed it, the SF90 XX Stradale, the first XX road car, limited in Stradale form to 799 units. Look at the specification of this particular example, taking the SF90 platform, making it even more at home on the track, but still road car. This is everything I know that I'm going to enjoy and share the adventures with you. Let's take a quick look around it, because it takes the platform we know, the 4-litre twin-turbo V8 with the hybrid assistance, making now over 1,000 horsepower, but a completely new look. It's a longer car. There's a lot going on when it comes to the aero, to the technical side, to the design side, and I've just been having a look around with some of the guys from the team here to understand more about it, to understand everything. A big departure, having a fixed wing at the back. The first production road-going Ferrari to have a fixed wing since the F50 and the F40. But not only that, there's also active aero at play underneath. There's a lot to this, from the louvres, carbon wheels, all sorts of things to run through, talk about some spec ideas. But this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. The SF90 XX Stradale. Back in summer, when we first saw this car, being here in Maranello, of course, completely off the grid. In fact, we had left my car in Romania and flown here for the event. I can promise you, when this was introduced, all of the customers who were present were absolutely awestruck. That was just a quick opportunity to see it. But then out during Monterey Car Week, the cars were presented again on the lawn at Casa Ferrari at Pebble Beach, both the Stradale and the Spider, and I spent quite a bit of time poring over them. Of course, very secretive at the time, but each time that I've spent time with this car, there's more that I've learnt about it, more to take in. Of course, being based on the SF90, it's easy to think that just a few changes here and there, but fundamentally, everything is different about this. The entire car is longer. There's a lot more going on with aerodynamics, a lot more technology as well. Even from a design point of view, as I've been learning, it's not just a case of slapping a new front end. For example, here, this eyebrow line that runs over the headlights, that's been pulled down by 3 or 4 millimeters to give it an even sportier appearance without taking away from the illumination. This is a completely new style, design and shape around the front, giving it a completely new look. It's significantly more of a departure from the regular car than when we've seen, say, the Pista over the 488 GTB. Around at the front, the S-ducts, those carry over from the Pista and also the F8, but they have multiple different channels. So the mid-temperature radiators are through the center. The airflow comes through for cooling and is is then released out of the center, whereas in the regular SF90, it points the other way and actually heads under the car, with the side channels for the S-duct helping with downforce to keep the front end even more planted, matching the aero at the front to the aero profile that you also have over towards the rear. A design detail that I particularly like about this car, you have both on the front axle and also to the rear, are the louvres over the top of the arches. Those triple louvres, similar to what you saw on the F12 TDF that was launched 6 or 7 years ago, itself a throwback to one of the greatest cars from Ferrari's history, the 250 GTO. They just make it look unbelievably sporty. Now, in the case of this car, housed inside the arches, we have the full carbon fiber wheels. Of course, an optional upgrade, saving weight in terms of unsprung mass, looking the part as well, considering quite how much carbon fiber there is around the car. Now, we've got the scooter rear shields here. Also, if you opt for the airbrushed shields, those actually go on the door to fit the amount of space that's available. We'll talk more about some of those options in a moment. As we come past, larger intakes, of course, for the cooling here at the sides, around towards the back, completely new look. Departure from the twin tail lights on each side to having this light bar that runs across the back, of course, working with the extra width. It's 2.5 centimeters wider at the back. The entire car is about 15 centimeters longer, in fact, than the standard SF90. Obviously, big changes then in terms of the design, in terms of the aerodynamics, and like the SF90, there is active aero. So this panel here actually raises and lowers. In the SF90, it effectively shut out towards the very back. In the case of this, it has more of a variable program depending on your driving modes, depending what you're doing. Now, thanks to the extra cooling with the mid-temp radiators at the front and up here as well, it means that the extra power that comes from the electric motors is raised by 13 horsepower and 17 horsepower more from the combustion engine as well, for a total of 1,030 horsepower from this. The 3 electric motors, 2 up at the front, 1 with the combustion engine at the rear, electric reverse as well, which is interesting, and of course still full electric drive capability also. But the design just continues. As you take a look back here and start to see all of the openings for the cooling, this is a totally new look. It's heavily departed from the standard car. It feels almost like you could happily run the two side by side for different purposes. Now, when it comes to suspension, in the case of this, the Multimatic dampers with titanium components are in fact the standard options. That's effectively what you had with the Assetto Fiorano of the regular SF90, with an option to add the Magnaride dampers and therefore also have a front lifter, which for daily usability, considering the extended front, lower nose, and of course carbon fiber, is, I would say, fairly crucial if you intend to drive the car on a regular basis. Moving inside, where this particular car has the carbon fiber racing buckets, but I've been learning what you can do with the specification. So there is a new seat, the best weight racing bucket seat, as opposed to this seat which we've seen in the SF90 and in the 296 before, and that is a big appeal to me. There is more that you can do in terms of customization with this particular seat option, but I love the idea of the new ones and particularly the comfort of sitting in them. You can of course play with a different carbon fiber. You've got these inserts which here are in flash orange, one of the 3 colors that are available by default, the flash orange, Azzurro and Giallo Modena, with further options available also for customization if you work with Atelier or tailor-made programs. We've got the full carbon fiber door cards, complemented by, again, this triple Louvre style design here for your grab handle, your hood release, fuel filler cap, and the charging port cap release as well, and the familiar steering wheel, now slightly updated with the inserts, as I've seen in the Purosangue and the other models that are hitting the market also. This car has the racing 4-point harnesses. You can opt either for the 4-point harnesses or traditional 3-point seat belts. Again, a discussion of usability, as are the Lexan windows. Believe it or not, you can spec Lexan windows with a sliding opening if you want to really have the race car experience, because the idea here is to bring the XX ethos to a car that the philosophy for which is still very much road car as opposed to track race car. The idea is to have that experience, that XX experience, in a car that you drive out on the road. And look back there with that light bar. The presence this is going to have on the road is going to be phenomenal. We've come also to take a look here in the Atelier. Now, this is exactly where I came when I was dreaming last year of a Daytona SP3. Now back to run through some specs of my SF90 XX. However, before we do, right here, is an SF90 XX Spider. Now this particular car is in Azzurro Dino with the Giallo Modena accents. So the accents you see for all of the aero parts, they can be in exposed carbon or painted in many different colours. We have the forged wheels here as well. Hard to see in the gloss black with the yellow pinstripe, but gives you an idea of what those look like. And of course, the Spider means completely open, but a nice look at the full black Alcantara interior. Now, I had mentioned before also the different seat options. And if you come over here with me, we actually have the new best weight racing seat, the very last seat here, the newest in the line. This is finished in a new material, of course with the contrast as well, even lighter than the Alcantara used before and significantly lighter of course than leather, and most importantly very, very comfortable. You'll spot also the carbon back blade that you have across here, and they are adjustable. It's a really nice seat that you can actually bend the backrest of as well. For me, this is an easy option. Yes, even more configurability that you can do with the carbon fiber racing bucket alongside, but this fits the car so well, and the softer entry as well is also quite nice to step over. So that will be an easy option to choose for this. But I've been brainstorming, of course. I love to play around with different renders, get experimenting, think about different things, and that means I want to show you through some of the potential configurations that we could do with this. Option 1 is what I'm going to call the tribute spec, a tribute to my current SF90 Stradale, which will of course move when the new car arrives. And that would be to go in blue electrico, the colour of the car we have seen downstairs, a colour I absolutely love, a stunning multi-layer blue paint, which I think suits the lines of the car really very well too. Of course, I've had a bit of a thing for blue Ferraris. I've had a fair few blue Ferraris, so maybe I should be a touch more adventurous. Now, the other car we saw has the flash orange accents. I already have a blue and orange car in the collection, so I would avoid that combination. I could consider Giallo Modena for the full accents on the exterior, which, considering my current SF90 is blue electrico with yellow calipers, the yellow Scuderia shields, and the yellow center cups as well in the center of the wheels, the blue and yellow theme would fit very nicely. Now, that car has an interior in Sabbia leather. Sabbia leather wouldn't really suit, for me, the sportiness of the new car, so I'd be most likely to go for a Nero, a black Alcantara interior, but complement it maybe with some yellow inserts for the seats, perhaps even with some navy blue. So I'm going to call it the tribute spec. This blue electrico combination, colour I know I love and I know would suit it very well. Option 2, we're going to call bright and bold, and there's a reason for this. Option 2 is in this colour, Verde Curse, this bright metallic green. And the reason behind this is that I really enjoyed when my friend Jordan from Team Skookum had his Ferrari 812 Superfast resident at my garage in Verde Curse, originally launched with the 599 High Curse that was presented at the Geneva Motor Show more than a decade ago. I remember being at that event, and ever since then I've just been fairly mesmerized by this color, this bright metallic green. It's out there, it's bold, but so is the car, which in some ways feels like it just suits naturally. Of course, this would need, I feel like if you did a full color interior, it would be too much because this is so vibrant to begin with. But you could, for example, have Nero complemented by one of the other greens that are perhaps an option, or a green stitch, maybe keeping the interior more themed along the lines of just being black throughout rather than being so bold. And I don't know what with color accents either, because if this had yellow or orange or blue, it would be a bit of an eyesore. So this would need to have exposed carbon, perhaps even tinted dark green carbon. That gets me thinking. So Verde Curse is option 2. Continuing on the green theme, for option 3, Verde Scuro. And I want to bring this over to be under the light because Verde Scuro is a very dark metallic green, less popular than the more well-known Verde Zeltweg, but I actually filmed the car in this color, an 812 GTS a couple of years ago, and to be honest, I've been blown away by it ever since. I think it looks stunning, such a nice shade, without going completely black without the bright lights on it, which Verde Zeltweg often does if you don't have the right lighting. Contrasting with this, you could go Giallo Modena. Often it's good to have a flat color contrast over the top of a metallic paint. It's often nice to have them the opposite way around just to give a different look. That could also be quite bold, whereas the green over tan is often a more elegant specification. So for this, you could go Koyo, the same that I have in the Purosangue, perhaps go a touch darker, maybe Irocco or Cioccolato as one of the options, and then add a green contrast stitch, perhaps some green leather inserts inside as well. But that's such a smart spec. I think it would only work with visual carbon fiber. Going with a bright yellow, that might be a little bit too much for that option. Coming over to the wall of samples here, and there are hundreds of different colors you can choose. And of course with TaylorMade, you can do even more bespoke configurations. But there's a color that I've teased a few times as one that I will definitely do on a future Ferrari, a color that I absolutely love and have another car in a similar type of shade. And that is this, Giallo Triplo Strato, triple layer yellow, a beautiful pearlescent metallic paint. Now this looks superb, get sunshine on it and it's beautiful. I think with the accents, again, a little bit brave, perhaps blue, but this might be a stretch. Again, could look at some tinted carbon fiber to go against it. And equally for the interior, to be honest, the amount of color you see here could work with those inserts on the doors being painted as well in Giallo Triplo Strato, but basically taking a black theme, the yellow seat inserts, maybe a yellow embroidered prancing horse, the cavallino on the headrest, and some other small touches to go with it. But even if not this car, that's a color I am certainly going to do down the line on something. While this is not a completely exhaustive list, it's just 5 ideas for the time being, because I could well find something else that I feel suits this really well. And no, it's not going to be Blue Le Mans, by the way, the same color as the Purosangue, because I like to always have things that are different, not to have 2 of the same specification. But another choice that's inspired by a car that belongs to a friend of mine, and that's from Belgium, the Hot Cave, the Ferrari 488 Pista. And in particular, I'm going to pick this sample out, Bianco Italia. This is a pearlescent white metallic, but slightly silvery. And the beauty of a color like this is how you can complement it with other details. For example, the wheels could be painted in a satin gold to go very nicely with it. It could have a contrast stripe or accent, maybe in a navy blue. And then come the choices of tinted carbon fiber. So navy blue, dark red, a dark green. I mean, look at this. A green carbon against pearlescent white. That's a really nice spec. Even the blue, to be honest, would allow me to keep that blue flare, blue touches that I do quite like into this car. And then for the interior, you can bring any of those options in. So a blue interior or a green interior to match the tinted carbon, to match the accent, or have a painted stripe, again, that matches with that. Lots of different options. You could potentially even do a full colored interior as much as you can, because there are limitations given the amount of carbon inside the car and therefore how much you can do with colors. There's a lot of food for thought here. Where do we go from here? Well, it goes without saying, even if I've said it just a few times in this video, this is very exciting to be becoming the custodian of a special series Ferrari, to have the honor and privilege of creating a spec for one of these. It is a pinch moment. It is a dream that I can't quite believe is now becoming reality. Today being here is the realization that this is happening. One of 799 Stradales. There are also the 599 Spiders, 1,398 cars. It's not a huge number. You will not often see an XX gracing the road. And of course, that name, the philosophy of the track car, and how much I've enjoyed my SF90 from the daily driving to tracks to adventures. And while the original car wasn't exactly generous with its luggage space, this is even less so, with the S-Ducts taking away the amount of space at the front. But hey, there's a Purosangue outside that kind of solves that problem for future road trips and things, because of course, being a Shmeemobile, it's going to get driven, it's going to get used. That's the whole point behind this. So I have to keep that in mind with the specification, not doing a racing harness with the Lexan windows and no lift system, because that might make it a little bit difficult. I know the XX name is a big talking point with this car, but when you understand the philosophy of it, Ferrari creating road cars fundamentally, very different to the likes of Lamborghini, Porsche, McLaren, making cars as close to the track experience as possible. This is a car to enjoy in the best possible way on the road. That's the idea behind it, bringing the XX experience to the road. And while I find it a little bit complicated to wrap the head around sometimes, I am crazy excited to try it for myself. The things I've heard about this, from the gearbox to the sound, a completely different shift sound out of it, the 8-speed dual clutch that we have, I think it's going to be quite a thrilling drive. No shortage of performance in the original SF90, and this goes even further. This goes a step beyond, and it's going to be the downforce, it's going to be the grip. We've got Cup 2R tyres, which I'm familiar with as well from the GT Black series, and I think this is going to be, I don't even know how to put it in words. I think undoubtedly one of the best cars ever, one of the flagship cars in my collection, in my garage, and coming here today, like I say, has made it a whole lot more real, and you guys are coming along for this journey, for the adventure. I will share the specs, the experience, and everything around the Special Series Ferrari. It's been a big secret to keep for the last 6 months or so, but now one that is finally out of the bag. Back outside then, ready to hit the road, but I do have to show you here at the historic gate how they're projecting images and things. We've just had the Le Mans parade being shown up here, very special because it's all about the passion, and you see that when you're here with the staff, with all of the people who are working to build machines like this at each and every stage of the process. It's such a thing of chasing the heart, being in any way involved or here or something to do with Ferrari. I'm not complaining in the slightest that we now have a few hours on the road in the Purosangue to continue from here. It is a lovely place to spend the evening. Yeah, what a special day. What a special day to be here in Maranello, in the new Purosangue, having driven a couple of thousand kilometers with it already, to come and pull the covers back to announce to you guys the upcoming addition to the garage. It still makes me laugh. It sounds so ridiculous. But the SF90 XX Stradale is coming. I'm sure it's going to be the first of many more exciting cars down the line. I'm enjoying growing a collection of Ferraris, growing these different experiences, different driving opportunities, and looking forward to what's going to be happening down the line as well. For now though, that is all. Thank you very much for joining me here in Italy. Thank you very much to everybody who has been part of our visit today, and thank you mostly as well to you guys for all of your support over the years. Without you, this wouldn't be possible, and I cannot say thank you enough for everything. Everybody who takes the time to tune in and check out the different bits of content I'm producing. For now, let's hit the road in the Purosangue. Bring it on. SF90 XX Stradale joining the Shmeemobiles. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.